risk in our region. Another topic, in addition to air pollution, is plastic pollution and fast fashion. So last year, I remember being so saddened watching sea turtles swimming with plastic bags on Ghana's coastline. Between the refuse and the cutting off of turtle mangrove habitat, which also provides natural sea defense protecting coastal communities, we are actually fortunate that sea turtles are still gracing Ghana's shores. Obruni-Wawu is, no matter how we brand it, simply primarily global refuse, which is imported and dumped in Ghana, much of which, through fast fashion, is made actually of microplastics, which further poison Ghana's air and waterways. Refuse, of course, is not just imported. Mass consumption of poorly made, imported, primarily plastic goods further contribute to plastic pollution cycles. Sachet water, plastic water bottles, styrofoam takeaway packs, and plastic bags all fuel the plastic plague, choking waterways and resulting in chemicals leaching into Ghana's water, food, and air. At this point, research is still nascent in terms of the impact on children, but what we do know is that fetal growth restriction is occurring, developmental delays are occurring, and other impact on child health is postulated. Here we can see how microplastics reach infants, or fetuses rather, through the maternal placenta. They are consumed by infants in breast milk, and then are consumed by children, again, with all the things that children touch, right, with their curiosity and their increased respiratory rates through the skin, through touching things, through inhalation. So finally, lastly, but certainly not least, and the primary subject of today's lecture is mining and galamsey. In addition to all of the other substantial and critical threats to Ghana's environment, galamsey is a formidable threat to the water bodies, food supply, and human health of people in Ghana. Last week, I was actually part of an online group where Ghanaians living abroad shared that they were no longer consuming imported Ghanaian smoked fish due to high levels of heavy metals. And we all know how much Ghanaians love smoked fish, and actually everyone loves Ghanaian smoked fish, rather, I should say. This is not surprising, though, that there are high levels of these heavy metals in the fish, because as data presented today will show levels of heavy metals between 10 to 100 times the upper limit considered safe for human health. Mercury is one of many heavy metals that are used in small-scale mining and that are toxic to child health. Here we can see the mercury cycle, where there's both through the use of mercury, it's aerosolized, and then it comes down into waterways, is consumed by fish, and then consumed by people. And then again, though, it can also be directly transmitted through the placenta. And through breast milk. Again, just mentioning that how children are close to the ground, they're explorative, so then have increased risk of exposure. And then just recognizing that mercury itself is teratogenic. It has significant impacts on the neurologic system as well as many other systems. So thank you for that opportunity to provide an overview of the many environmental health hazards that are threatening people in Ghana today. And please join me with a warm welcome for the keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Anthony Enamil, Senior Lecturer in Pediatrics and Child Health at Kwame Nkrumah University School of Science and Technology, and steadfast leader of the Pediatric Society of Ghana Climate Change and Environmental Health Subcommittee. Professor Enemu.
Thank you very much. Do you see my slide, please?
Yes, I do clearly from here.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Am I very audible?
Very, very audible.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon or good evening to everyone. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity offered me by the leadership of Pediatric Society of Ghana and UNICEF Ghana to have a few discussions. And I thank the earlier contributors. They've done most of my work. I'm here as a pediatrician, and I'm very passionate about the future, which doesn't belong to most of us on this platform, but they belong to the next generation. And looking at the level at which we are destroying the future, we may not have anything to bequeath to our children and their children. And so it is important that we add our voice to the discussion, look at the realities on the ground, and see beyond just children. But even those of us who are alive now, we are being affected by what is going on. And we'll look at some information on what is really on the ground. Let me acknowledge key people on this platform. I won't mention names, but some have been my teachers, some have been my professors. I have my colleagues on, I have friends on, just not to discriminate, and I also have loved ones and family on. So thanks everybody for joining. And I know everybody falls into this class, but it's a privilege to be called upon to lead or be the key speaker on this forum. Let me say I have no conflict of interest. I'm solely responsible for the content of this presentation. And you will keep seeing the footnote. I deliberately put Ghana on suicide agenda and Ghana Suicide Initiative, and that is what we want to fight against. But we are getting to a stage where we seem to be inflicting death sentence on ourselves as a country. So today is World Earth Day or Earth Day, and the theme for this year is our power, our planet. Getting to the end of the discussion, we realize power in this context is energy conservation. But again, the reality is it is within our power to correct and put things right as a country, and not only as a country, by extension as a continent and as a world, because we have just one Earth. And we need to remember that before any of us on this call was born, the Earth was there. We met it in the fall. We don't seem to be preserving it for the future generation. So it's in our power to conserve our Earth, for that matter, the planet. And I know that by the end of this, we'll have more reason to keep pushing for the right things to be done. So a very popular saying, we do not inherit the Earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Very important. We are passing through. But with this level of destruction to our country, I'm not sure our children will have any records to keep as having been good stewards of what we were bequeathed with to be handed over to them. So I will just divide it. Most of the things I've said have been highlighted one way or the other, but there are things that are outside our control, and there are things that are within our control. So basically, we'll be dealing with these two sections, looking at what was in the beginning. I know most of us will have a fair idea of what it is, but what we are living for our next generation is nothing to write home about. And so we won't go into the details of this, but we all have heard about evolutionary theories. The Darwin's theory of evolution, multi-regional hypothesis, modern synthetic theory. I mean, these are there. People have partial evidence on how the whole world began. Fossil fuels, fossil parts have been linking to so many millions of years. Yes, all these weren't there, but these are theories that are there. I won't go into details, but I'll just mention a few. When if I should ask people to comment on the image on your right, I am sure some see different things. Is there anybody who can mention what he or she sees, just to see if the perspectives are fixed for what I'm talking about? Is there anyone who sees anything? One is obvious, the other is also there. There are two images. Actually, some will see three on this picture. Is there anyone who can hazard a guess and tell me what he or she sees? Let me look at the chat. Okay, so someone sees a bird. I want to see someone who sees a pelican, yes, a turtle. Some sees fish. In other words, there are different perspectives, but that is true, and that is how nature is. There's what we know as the survival of the fittest, and some evolutionary theories believe in this, but in reality, that happens because we know some pregnant women will conceive and would be aborting. It's just because the chromosomal match would not fit survival. So those ones will not even survive. But we also know that some will survive, may not even live for long. So these are all part of creation and the dynamics that go through. But it is those of us who are living now, it's just because we're able to survive the rigors of being in vitro and then came out, some facing different medical conditions, yet we have survived. But let's bear in mind that the environment in which we survived, we are destroying it. When I say we, as collective Ghanaian, because it's a sin of commission and omission. If you are not talking, you are contributing to what is happening. In other words, survival may begin to be skewed because of our own lifestyle and things that we are doing to our own environment. Again, for those who are not purely medical, this is just to give us a diversion. Down syndrome are all conditions that is all part of chromosomal anomaly, DNA instability, causing some shifts. But let's bear in mind that they all form part of the beauty of the creator. And we can see some children with Down syndrome walking around. Yes, that is their life. And as pediatricians, we care for every child because we all know that we are all created in the image and likeness of a great maker. So we would not discriminate that this person has this condition. We take care of everyone because we see the beauty of in diversity. So this is the biblical account. I give background of what various evolutionary theories have said. But on day 1 to 6, and we have 7 days. So just a quick revision. Day 1, they said there was the creation. This is in Genesis chapter 1. There was light. 2, creation of the firmament. 3, creation of land, sea, and vegetations. On day 4, there was creation of the celestial bodies. Day 5, creation of marine and avian life. Day 6, there was creation of land and animals. And all that we see on this earth falls into one class or the other. And in the book of Genesis 1:31, he said, God saw his creation and said it was good. And this is a very good background. Bible dates thousands of years ago. It was good. Now, can we ask ourselves that after these 6 days of creation, the world or the Ghana we have, can we say or agree with the maker that it is good? We need to revise our notes because we can't confidently say that. So these are events which we don't have control over. These are events that we came to meet, but by way of our own actions and inactions, we are destroying the very beauty of the world or the earth for which God called it good. We are making our land bad, very difficult to inhabit. And so looking at the perspective of what we call earth, and for that matter, Ghana is on the earth. And look at the sun we see every day. So relative to the size of the sun, as you all can see from the image. So this is it. Look at the size of the earth relative to the sun. And we always, until we studied, we realized we may think that the size of the sun, the earth is bigger. But look at the size of the earth, so small. And this earth can disappear, including us. The sun is huge, supplying sunlight to us. part of the beauty of creation. Again, this is us sitting somewhere in Ghana, which we can't even locate the size of the Earth in relative to our solar system. So I'm bringing this perspective because there was a great designer who gave us an asset for us to be stewards. But over time, we seem to be destroying the very asset. So there is evidence scientifically that the universe in which our solar system is part is expanding. It is expanding, it's getting bigger, there are no limitations. But by our activities, we seem to be diminishing our very significance. Actually, as the world expands, the universe expands, the Africa, the Earth is not changing in size. So relatively, we are becoming less significant, smaller. Yet, the degree at which we are destroying ourselves, and look at Ghana sitting somewhere here in the world, and come to the universe itself. Just a subset of the universe is the local supercluster. And within, and again, these are measures in trillions of miles or light hours in terms of distance. Within this is the local group, which our Milky Way, which we belong, and then within that is the solar system, and then the Earth. So look at the hierarchy, come down and down and down. We realize that we are definitely infinitesimally small. That is even the Earth. Don't talk about Ghana. And if you can imagine the relevance of us in the universe context, and we are not maintaining our integrity as a country of significance, we may be wiped off the face of the Earth first. But again, in the universal context, we are very insignificant. So we thank God that we have a country called Ghana, and then even that God knows us and made plans for us. But we need to work together with the one who had given us the ability to be what we are, and keep this precious country, this precious Earth for the next generation. Just last week, a Cambridge team studying the atmosphere of planets, they identified a planet called K218b, and they had detected signs of molecules, which on Earth are only produced by simple organisms. And so as the universe expands, there are more evidence coming up to show that life might be existing somewhere. Remember, the universe is huge. We are just part of a smaller solar system. And even that, our habit is taking us out of existence, which is very painful. And these are all perspectives I'm bringing on board for us to know that there was an original plan, and the original plan was to have our land, our sea, our vegetables, our plants, and everything as a balance. And then we hopefully hand over, but we are not leaving anything to hand over. So now we are going over to what will be in our control. What we looked at the Earth, the planet, it was definitely something we came to meet. But so our activities and proportional levels of destruction. Now, in areas where mining is actively, illegal mining is actively going on, we have almost 24%. So a little over 1 out of every 5 of those lands have been destroyed. And typically Western region, Ashanti region, Eastern region, 24% of our land, mining areas have destroyed our land. And so if this is, let's say in the last 20 years, how many years more do we have to reach 100% of illegal mining destroying our land? We come to deforestation. So almost 1 out of, it's 1/5, 21%. We have caused deforestation in major regions, Western North, Greater Accra, Central region. And again, these are the proportions. And the data is not speaking too well for a country that is young, not even up to 100 years. And within the 100 years, less than 100 years of our existence, not even up to 70 years, we've lost almost 24% of due to illegal mining of our land. We've lost deforestation, 21%, water pollution up to 18%. This we all know very well from our previous speakers. But looking at Volta region, Greater Accra and Western, putting and landmass together, we've lost 18% of our water pollution. We have polluted our water to the extent of 18%. So projecting into the next 50 years, if we go this way, there will be no water. And there have been predictions that are saying we are likely to start importing if we are not already importing water. But again, we will come to some facts to show that's not as simple as importing. So these are some published work we go through. Some of these have been mentioned by Erastus and our moderator. So assessing potential health effect of lead and mercury and impacts of illegal mining activities in the Bonsa River. And a lot of this mining takes place in the Western region. So Tapa is Swahim of Ghana. So this is just a river that was sampled by the researchers. And so looking at the parameters, so upstream, midstream, and downstream, lead level, mercury levels significantly higher than what is expected. Expected normal range 0.01, we are doing 0.04 plus. And then again, so mercury levels, lead levels are higher using Bonsa River, just as an example. But beyond that, when you look at the water cycle, and there have been instances where we have had comments that, well, this is for those in the mining area. Let's not forget that there's interconnection below, within the earth. There is the water table, and there's always a connection with water flowing from one area to the other. So there's a possibility that, yes, it is done in the Bonsa River, but if you are in Pra, you are in River Pra, and you drink from River Pra, that's your source, there might be linkages beneath the earth. It goes beyond what we can see, and then you would eventually be affected. When it rains, it flows. And then, and of course, I know that most of us might have boreholes in our homes, which we use for drinking. And even if not for drinking, because of us, most of the bottling companies we have in Ghana that produce water in Ghana, they use boreholes. They sink it deep 100 meters and beyond, and they fall, they crack rocks, and they get into the water table and beyond that. And let's not forget that we don't test for the regular heavy metals in our routine water, and you don't see that, and you can't predict. The taste might not be different, and so you can't say whether you are surely drinking water that is indeed bottled water or sachet water. And these are the realities. So mercury levels, lead levels are high because they are used for mining. And yes, you might not directly be there. And let's not forget that these are heavy metals. They travel, they go through the plates, you dig boreholes, you might be indirectly. And so this is not about only the future, it's about those of us who are living now. Again, this is an interesting study which said that with potential health risks of heavy metals in some selected, so these are selected vegetables. This is a case study at Mosiasu in Wasa Abenfi West District, which I know this now very well. So again, I would focus on tomatoes. We all love food made by our mothers, and sometimes we do it on our own. And so they measured this at a major mining area at Mosiasu, and then compared, this is the impacted site, this is the control site where no mining is done. And so looking at tomatoes, the level of mercury in the impacted site, in the shoot alone is 0.19, whilst the range in the control site is 0.02. Look at the roots. Mercury, because of the mining, the plants absorb them, and this is tomatoes. It goes from the root to, and then eventually into the fruit itself. 0.25 in the non-mining area, 0.02. So huge difference between the two, and it goes across all of them. And the whole plant, 0.44, it should be within 0.04, more than 10 times higher, as the moderator said. Again, lettuce has similar concentrations in the mining area. Just look at the green is for the lettuce. Within the shoot is 8.8. We are looking at lead, but lead in the control area was 5, far less than that. Again, the roots, we have 22, but it should be in the control area 8. And so it just tells us that mining is significantly impacting our food chain. But the question that was running through my mind is when we, especially our ladies on the call, go to Makola market, go to the Asafo market, or wherever you tend to do your marketing, hardly do we ask the source of these tomatoes. They may look nice. You may think they are coming from Burkina, but these are transported from hinterlands. And if you innocently buy this because it's been brought and you think you are in Accra for that matter, you are not a victim. Well, let's know that we are all at risk. And these are published such that have been vigorously criticized. They're telling us that no matter where we find ourselves, no matter how good looking the tomatoes, the vegetables may look like, and these are just selected aspects. There are onions and others which we use daily as a food substance. So we know tomatoes has a lot of health benefits, but in this context, looking at what we buy from the open market, are we not taking in excess dose of the mercury, the arsenic acid? Are we not taking in lead, levels which eventually can cause health problems? Again, the impact of illegal mining activities on forest ecosystems and the community attitudes and willingness to participate in restoration activities. And so the communities that such activities take place really would want to change. But why is this still ongoing? So looking at the assessment of communities in the Western North, so Nkakan, Sawenso, and the Nketiaso. I know Erasmus will be familiar with these things very well. So the greatest is within the highly impact. So look at water availability. They've been impacted to such an extent that it's a worry for those activities and the impact it's having on them. Virtually all the complaints were within high impact, not low impact. So water quality has been impacted in all the environments where this is done. Land available for farming has been impacted. Land accessibility, land productivity, everything has been impacted by activities. And these are activities by us, by Ghanaians. Yes, I know now there are new discoveries, whether they are recent or not, where we call it, there's an ECOWAS community within part of Western region where they've been there for years, presumptively, but they are all doing mining and they somehow are exiting and we didn't seem to know. And so these are realities. These are things we need to bear in mind that we are not out of this altogether. So impact of illegal mining activities on, again, this is the same part of the paper. Traditionally, mushrooms, snails, bamboo, cane, these were readily available. No wonder now we seem to be importing everything. So these were highly abundant prior to Galamsey and 87.5% says so. But currently, in the context of Galamsey, so non-timber food products, we have, the levels have dropped so much. You get snails, now you eventually see snails. How will they survive in this environment? And so the food chain, the produce and things we could have sold for foreign exchange. So no wonder we are importing virtually everything into the country because we are spoiling, or deliberately or unintentionally or for whatever reason, we are putting the things that we have as assets as risks. Percentage distribution of respondents' level of concern of Galamsey impact. So again, the extreme column talks about extreme concern. People there are concerned about decline water resource quality, drying of streams and rivers. These are people in the Galamsey community, decline of soil fertility, degraded landscape aesthetics, recurring floods, erosion, open pits on large and farmlands, limited availability of other products like snails, games, ropes, lack of significance for cultural heritage. So we have destroyed everything that traditionally was worthy and was proudly available as Ghanaian. So we don't get these things again because they are not there. Unless you do your own at home, you will not get the original things that it used to be. And so environmental activities and heavy metal pollution. So these are things we know they are all around us. There are huge industries that have sprung up. They all produce heavy metals. Garbage dumps, we have sewage sludging, the nano fertilizers, plastics we use. We have a lot of cars on our road, wastewater management, mining is key, air pollution. They all put heavy metals into our environment, on our soil. The plants take them, the plants are part of our food chain. And as we saw from previous slides, evidence that we have heavy metals in the plants, even in the roots, in the shoot, and in the plant as a whole. So these are the generic slide for virtually all the heavy metals and how they can impact on us. So this goes beyond children, but children are included in this as well. And so we have the arsenic. It's a cancerogenic agent, can cause skin damage. Again, this is key. Gastrointestinal effects are there. We also have skin changes, mercury linked to kidney diseases. And for those of us who are clinicians, we can bear testimonies that we seem to be seeing more of kidney diseases. They are on the rise. And again, this is bringing in focus role as Pediatric Society. How can we best put our energies together and get quality data, especially those coming from the mining areas? Yes, there are observations in our hospitals that, yes, significant numbers will be coming from mining-related areas. So it has a lot of effect on our respiratory system. Rastos mentioned some of them. Copper, high doses can affect liver, can cause irritations of eye, headaches. So there are a myriad of effects, allergies, because we are digging things which were in the past buried. So effect on the kidney, cadmium, lead can cause brain damage, decrease IQ of our children. And so the effect is already being seen. There are a lot of pediatricians on our call, and we would agree, except that we need to be more systematic in gathering data. But a lot has already been done. And nobody should tell you the studies done that everybody on this call, so long as especially you are in Ghana, you are also at risk because these products come to us. And so, interestingly, I looked at some of the packaged sachets that were attributed to Galamsey water. And it sank when I went to the lab to take something, and I saw this standing. So for those who are not medical, when you take your blood sample in a bottle, this is EDTA bottle, and we allow it to stand, you see the whole thing as red. So we think the whole blood is red, but the red cell will start settling, and you begin to see plasma. And it was surprising, the color of plasma is just like, almost like the color of Galamsey water. And so this is a diagram of how plasma looks like. This is the original. It looks like this. And so you see, when you drink water, as in colorless water as we see, this is how your plasma would look like. And so the question I was asking myself is, if we have communities drinking contaminated water, what will be the color of their plasma? This is be an interesting research we should begin to look into, because this will not be the same. You drink this water, you get this. You drink this, you're likely to see something different. So these are all food for thought that we need to think through. The maker didn't make it like this. So assuming someone getting an accident on Galamsey field and they come and you are putting IV fluid or Galamsey fluid on them, would they take it? I don't think so. Yet they are producing this for us to eventually take it. It's a danger, because if we destroy our outer bodies, where do you get your ringus lactate or normal saline? This should be crystal clear like this. And so if you drink this, this is what should be. But currently we are producing this. Yes, we don't know the type of metals. You know, we have sodium, calcium. These are normal levels within our blood, but we must begin to test mercury levels and other things, substances, lead, and see if indeed our levels are getting higher than expected. Again, this is another interesting analogy which I saw. You see this gentleman here who has a condition with fluid gathered in the back. I'm trying to be as lay because I know they are part of non-medical teams on. So you see, this pus is drawn from the back of a human being for the person to survive. If doctors don't pull out this fluid, this patient will die because they are toxic to his own body. And interestingly, this color is not different from River Pra. And this color is not different from Galamsey site. And so this is normal water for us to drink. We virtually are producing poisons which we must pull out of humans to make them live. But that is what we are making our water bodies. This is not exactly this, but it's similar color. Look at this and look at the. So this is dirty water which will kill us invariably. That is the simple message. We are producing things that can kill, and doctors want to save by pulling this out of the patient. Yet the color of the very river that used to be clear has become like pus, and we are producing it in our country, and we call ourselves Ghanaians. And this is the best we could do: turn our rivers into pus-like substance, something that must not happen because this kills. This is the level we have come as a country. And this image should be part of our advocacy to people who can take decisions that we are actually poisoning ourselves, because what should be pulled out of humans to make them live, that is what we are producing as water and damaging our water body to that extent. So this is more of a 21st century mental health disorder. It's a problem. And I know the moderator mentioned some of these things. How should we be doing this in the 21st century? Plastics everywhere. The children are at risk, the future of our Ghanaian children. This has already been mentioned. So going back to some of the possible solutions, and I'll be ending this too for us to discuss the real way forward. We are supposed to protect the earth. We know the size of the earth relative to the universe, so small, yet we can't manage it well, especially smaller is Ghana within the context of the earth. We need to think through and be good stewards rather than be destroyers. Again, Prof. Osei Sampene did a lot of work. Babies in Galamsey areas are being born with one eye, without genitalia. These are all published in the media. Cognitive impairment, stillbirth, congenital disorders, and death matters among Galamsey areas. So again, these are not new. We hear them all the time. But added to that, recent studies established prevalence of tramadol use among Ghanaians between 24, almost 25% to 77%. And it's a close link between Galamsey activities and the use of tramadol, because they said they have energy to do what they want to do. They don't get tired when they take this. But we are all witnesses of the impact of these medications on our youth. This young girl overdose of tramadol. So there's drug epidemic. And again, this red, some call it red. So it gives you a lot of energy. So beyond just Galamsey, it's being fueled by other factors who are benefiting from serving this medication to the youth. And so the future is at stake, because if you are not guided, there will be no future for our youth. All going on hard drugs because they think that is what will give them energy to work stronger in the mining area. Very importantly, over 100,000 acres of cocoa farm destroyed. Over hundreds of years, Ghana has been a major, we used to be the leading producer of cocoa in the world. Ivory Coast has taken over. But our numbers are dwindling so fast because, yes, if you don't sell your land to them for them to do mining, they would destroy your farm. So some farmers are led to give. And of course, sometimes they get enticing offers. Sell your land, we'll give you. And the money that is so attractive that they destroy. But we are destroying our future. We are destroying our stable crops. We also have seen other crops in mining areas are virtually non-existent. But is that the best way to go? Yeah, so again, destruction of our ecosystem. A previous speaker or the moderator made mention of some of these things. So I wouldn't, yeah, so this is a BBC biodiversity, and I made a mention of it previously too. So again, what do? We should, when God created the world for 6 days, the 7th day he rested. And I think one of the things we need to push from part of this is we should have a day of rest. A day of rest for our water bodies, and our forest reserves. Unfortunately, as a country, we have everything, yet we have nothing, because we are destroying the very existence of the very things that should make us rich, and a country that can be considered as rich country, because we have all the resources, yet it's the very thing that is destroying us. So we need a national day of rest from destructive attitude. And this must change, because a society that prides itself in protecting reputation. And so people don't mind how you destroy lands to get rich, but the rich is respected. And so they do everything, but we really need to get people of character who will not just destroy our lands, but realize that that is what we have to be paid to our future. So I think we need to push as a society, or pediatric society, that we declare some rest of mining on our water bodies and forest reserves. There's been talk about repealing of LI 2462. Let's add our voice to this. We need the water bodies to rest and recover, and the forest reserves, because at this rate, 24% plant destruction, in the next 20 years, there will be nothing to boast about. Now, what do we do as advocates? Well, we speak for or represent a constituency, that is children, who do not vote. Yet the commissions and omissions of voters have direct consequence on their future. And that is why we can't stop being quiet as pediatric society. We need to speak on behalf of the future generation. But from the work that has been done, we know that destruction is ongoing now, and it will even affect our generation. Let's not talk about the foreign. So we must speak out now, or forever hold our peace, as people, newly wedded couples, are asked to say. We are watching less than 10% of us and their foreign powers push Ghana beyond beloved country into self-extinction through the impact of negative natural selection. We must build a robust research unit as pediatric society, and then we should be able to look into deeper things, because there's a lot of things which we need to bring out to serve as evidence for those who can help us take decisions. So we seem to be a country which is taking suicide initiative, and that is going on very fast. We need to join the campaign against suicide initiative. Let us petition the president and parliament so that we get a change, a significant change for that matter. Nobody is saying mining shouldn't go on. It will go on, but we need to regulate and make sure that certain areas are not mined. And so, because we are dealing with children, we see a lot of children with anemia. What do you give to a child when they have anemia? So when a child has anemia, this is iron rods, it contains iron. But pediatricians, and for that matter, we don't prescribe iron rods for anemia. We prescribe hematinics. And so the fact that there is gold in water bodies doesn't mean we should necessarily go and mine it, because the consequences are huge, and that is what we are seeing. And that's why I'm illustrating this, that yes, iron rods contains iron, but we don't give that to children. It's not everything that is there that we must take. But we must push her to change the agenda that I want money. And because I want money, I'll do everything, sink champagne in water bodies and destroy it at the expense of Ghanaians. No, we need to fight against that, because the consequences is on us. And so what works in Ghana, what doesn't seem to work is political solution, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So it is not wrong to possess things, but it is wrong for things to possess us. And that is very important. It is wrong for us to be so possessed with making money that we do everything, destroy the very ecosystem that is sustaining us. And we need to change our pathway, because it will not help us as a country. So there will be opportunity for open discussions. Let's come up with ideas that can serve as a bedrock for us to push the agenda to change things for Ghana. So the Earth Day 2025, the theme, our power, our planet, and that is what we are marking today. So these are the main action points. Encourage everyone to unite behind renewable energy and to triple the global generation of clean electricity by 2030. Where are we? The event is a call to action for individuals, businesses, communities to take collective action on our climate. So, in conclusion, we can only succeed when as stakeholders we stick together and persist on right attitudes, persist long enough, Ghana will live long. We need to say no to Ghana Suicide Initiative. So in summary, illegal mining disrupts human system and poses significant threat to environment, health, and communities. The environmental degradation caused by illegal mining affects our very existence and ecosystem. We need to have a coordinated effort at reversing this so that we can protect the future for ourselves and for the children yet unborn. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Professor Hanamel, thank you so much. What a powerful address. We are so grateful. It is not wrong to possess things, but it is wrong for things to possess us. That is a very powerful message. And, you know, and the point also of highlighting the theme, the global theme for today's Earth Day is it's our power and it's our planet. And so really the power is with us, for each of us to do our part. And so we come here today as the Pediatric Society of Ghana, but certainly we must work together with our stakeholders to be effective and make change now. We have crossed the threshold. And now is the time to stop, to turn back, and to heal and find a better way forward. Now is the time for open forum. Professor Hanamel offered many very important solutions, actionable solutions that collaboratively we can move forward on. I welcome folks raising their hands to offer comments directly, or if people would like to also offer questions or comments in the chat, we can read those as well. Yes. Betty, go ahead. Thank you. I think you'll have to unmute yourself. I'm not sure if it's Dr. Banka or Betty Banka. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share your question.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
awesome.
thank you.
Yeah,
I have
great.
been muted by the host. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Prof. Hanamel, and thank you, Dr. Sarah. It is pollution and environmental degradation is something that I'm very passionate about. I just wanted to ask, someone made a comment. I work with adolescents, and an adolescent who was involved in Galamsey, was being talked to about the consequences of being exposed to these heavy metals, etc. And their response was that we don't have jobs, and we know that this is bad for us, but I'd rather do this and get money and die in 2 years than be poor. So this is something that I think we'll have to think about as far as employment for the youth are concerned. So as we're coming up with solutions, I'm just throwing this out there to see what everybody's ideas are about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very important point that you make, right? People ultimately need to eat. And we know that that mining is in some ways for communities also it can be seen as a boon, right? That there can be some increased actually access to health services at times, increased, wealth in some ways, while at the other side, it can be extremely toxic. And in the long run, all the effects that we're seeing both nationally, but also locally. Would anyone like to reflect on Betty's comment?
Yes. Betty, I mean, it's a key point that comes up all the time, and it just reflects the level that we've gotten to in terms of what the youth would want. They would want to live for 2 years and live a good life rather than struggle with life and then prefer to destroy environment. The reality is what you said. Most of them, free SHS is good, but huge numbers are getting opportunity to go to higher level of education. And then we are producing more graduates, but there's less job. And so it fits into the bigger discussion of looking for alternate jobs. But because some of them have tasted the riches that comes with mining, what alternate job will give them enough? And these are all things we need to think through the best way out. But let's keep the advocacy. Let's keep talking. Let's keep speaking to those who have the opportunity to make a change and get things put in the right tracks. And let's keep sensitizing the children. Yes, that if you have 50 years to live and you want to do mining and destroy your kidneys, enjoy money and then also use the rest of your money for going on dialysis, then if we really get some of that job for you, and not only destroying our ecosystem, but put things right. So we need to build the perspective of the youth to know that even for them, we think the future belongs to them, but they also have to equate a certain future to a certain generation if the world does not end. And so we need to work on their psyche and their mental health, because again, these are all mental health issues. So you prefer to live short and enjoy money. But remember, you can use the money to fight disease the rest of your life too. And so that we should keep engaging them as we also engage those who have been empowered to create jobs, to empower companies to be able to employ more people. It's a hard decision, but we still need to talk about it, because the rate at which these activities is destroying the very environment we are in, then there's really no future for us as a country if we keep going this way. But there are over 80% of individuals who are not actively involved. So we can't also just sit for maybe 10-20% of time to destroy the environment. We need to push those who can take decisions to take the right decision and save our country.
Thank you, Professor Enemel. Before we go on with more questions, I'd like to draw to your attention that for those of you who will be requesting CPD, link to make that request can be, the form can be accessed in the chat. Thank you. We have another question. It's from Dr. Samuel Awia, who is a classmate of Dr. Enemel. Dr. Awia writes, so most people in Accra and other urban areas think Galamsey is just a thing in the rural areas, but I'm not sure that is the case. My question to Dr. Enemel is, have there been any pediatric cases in Accra or urban Ghana, or in any urban area in Ghana that has been linked directly to Galamsey? That's a great question. So perhaps both for Prof. Enemel and other pediatricians who are, or physicians who are on this call.
Yeah, so I made mention that we need to put our efforts together to build a robust multi-center research team to really gather data and show evidence. But from my own observation from the hospital where I work, when children come with renal conditions, I take an extra step in interest during my rounds to find out the communities that they are coming from. Remember, there are many causes of renal problems. Some may be infectious related or other exposures. Yes, we haven't had opportunity, in my own observation, to check for levels of metals in them. And again, this is why we need to push for abilities to do that. Because if we don't actively investigate this and get to know, then it will become difficult to conclude. But as I said, I have had boys, 16, coming from mining area, Dumpao, who still is on dialysis. And his father is a miner and brings chemicals home. So these are local evidence I've gathered, but we need to work together as a society and look at children coming, collaborate with other NGOs. And I'm sure if you have a good proposal to UNICEF, they may be able to support us so that we measure the levels of heavy metals when children come with conditions which we know are not direct infections like malaria, which we know. This boy, for instance, all the basic other labs that we did that can point to infections were not there. Yet we were not able to go into exactly what was, but for now, he's on dialysis. So this is a personal experience I'm sharing. And I know probably other pediatricians from Accra, I am in Kumasi, they share their experience as well. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share their experience caring for people who have been living in, who are victims of galamsey pollution or other aspects of pollution in Ghana today?
Yeah, so just to add that I have just been updated by one of our doctors that there's a child on admission on our ward who has evidence, imaging of mercury injection, and both parents, they work in Galamsey, and it's just an update I just got after I finished speaking. And so the x-rays are showing pellets, and then this child will definitely have some consequence of mercury toxicity. And so they are there, and as I said, this is just an update I got, currently on admission, actually came when I was talking. And so these are realities, it's getting to our children. But again, for us pediatricians, we see, but we need to make effort to put one case here, one case there together, speak to the districts around where mining is prominent, because I'm sure they may be having more of such cases. And again, that is informing my call that beyond this meeting, we should look for consolidated effort as a climate change group, environmental group, and see how best we can put our efforts together to gather evidence, to keep alerting the decision makers, bring it to the level that they would appreciate that, yes, it might be a child in that community, but there's also the potential that it could also be a child that's closer than you think. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that that's just a fantastic idea. You know, collecting data on a national level that we can bring as evidence to the stakeholders to then influence and push for change. You know, in addition, just thinking about educating, right, our patients on what actually is going on, educating other healthcare workers as well, and then ultimately having the education go up to the population level. Our voice is so important in this space. Any other questions?
Can I have a question? I have a question.
Yes, I'm delighted that you are with us still. Please,
Yeah.
correct us. Please,
let me say
offer.
congratulations to Dr. Enemil. That was an insightful presentation and speech. We appreciate that. I, in particular, on the ground, I see the effects of illegal mining on a daily basis. People who are shaking from vaporized mercury inhalation in communities that they smelt these mercury amalgamated gold. I have also seen firsthand people with silicosis and people with hardened lungs and all that. So people with kidney-related ailments who have done toxicology tests and reveal high levels of mercury in their blood. I'm thinking that we can get more results if associations, and especially the medical field, the GMA, the Pediatric Society of Ghana, come together to share some of these findings with the rest of Ghana. We need to add a human face to this anti-galamsey fight. People need to know from the experts that what they are witnessing within their communities really affect their health. And they cannot believe it more from people like Dr. Enemil and other doctors, pediatric doctors that we have. So I want to know, Doctor, do we have any such plans to come out publicly and share some of these experiences, the medical room experiences with the rest of Ghana?
Yes, Erastus, that is one motivation that is making us call for such meeting and for us to start our own line of action with a plan, projection into what we can do. Because everything is clear that we must also bring our part on board to educate them. Because again, you see young men standing in mercury, water that is polluted with mercury, and they don't seem to appreciate what is going on. It's partly because of ignorance. But thankfully, the leadership of our society is here. And then we know that beyond this, we'll gather more information, get more stakeholders on board. And then we can push the agenda to come out more often and drive the agenda to stop illegal mining, especially on our water bodies and the forest reserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll hold your feet to it.
Oh, yeah, Erastus, you know we are in the business together.
Yes.
We are here for you. And social media is here for us as well, right? And so as pediatricians, we obviously see the ills of social media, but social media is a powerful tool for sharing critical information such as this. Obviously, discussing it, in ways that maintain patient confidentiality is paramount, but this is a real opportunity for us to share this information and to have it really be, as Erastus makes the point, be brought a human face and these stories to really bring meaning to what is going on due to galamsey in the country. Any other questions or comments, remarks? Yes, Asamoah Ajay. Please feel free to unmute yourself. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to Prof for this wonderful presentation. My name is Emmanuel.
I'm sorry, but the connection is pretty rough.
Samuaji, a senior research scientist with the Cross Research Institute, Kumasi.
Okay, that's better.
I think from the discussion, it is obvious that our food system is being threatened. So my mission is that one way or the other, let also begin to do backyard farming. Hello, can you hear me? Cross Research Institute, a seed scientist. And my submission is that it is clear that our food system.
I'm sorry, but the connection is pretty rough. Would you be able to type your comment in the chat and I can read it?
So my suggestion is that let's begin to do back farming. And CSIR Cross Research Institute, we to support any group or individual who wants to enter into such program by way of providing technical support and other input like seeds so that we can safeguard our food system.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Unfortunately, the connection was a bit poor, but it sounds like you're from food sciences, and you are making the point that collaborative work and interdisciplinary work would be very beneficial for this topic, which I don't think any of us could agree with more. Point well made. We have a comment in the chat that I'll share. It's from Seth, and thanks Prof. NML and others for what you have shared. Please can you, those in the medical field, assure us that we'll keep the fight? I hear that the GMA or some members took up a fight last year, but when it got to a critical point, it was left with bodies like UTAG were the ones who kept the fire burning. Any comments there?
That was disappointing, very disappointed, and I was expecting that my very good friends in the medical fraternity, who normally call me to see the effects firsthand of illegal mining, they will stand their ground, looking at the grave nature of the situation. But when it got to the crescendo, that is where we got people, I don't want to use the word chickened out, but they moved out of it, and we couldn't really do anything. I believe in numbers, and the people who mine illegally are very powerful people. And these are people who have a lot of cash to spend. And so normally, if we don't stick together, we don't have the numbers, we cannot inform policy and even inform government to do the right thing. And so I think that when the time comes, we should have medical people who have the evidence, our scientists, join and take a bold stand against this existential threat.
Our power, our planet. Professor Enamil, do you have a response?
Yeah, so I hope the president of Pediatric Society is still on, or any of the executives. I'm sure
we are here. We haven't. We are here. We are together in this.
Those on the call want assurance from you that we work under you. So if you can tell us something that this will be sustained, then we will come to you often for your blessing. So that because if you chicken out, I will chicken out. But if you don't, I'll keep fighting. So Hilda, let's hear you.
I think that we can all confidently say that we are committed to this fight. It is something that threatens our present and the future for us and for our children and our children's children. It's something we are very committed to, and happy that you are also happy to lead on our behalf. So we are happy to support and to help champion this fight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Erastus, I know we've done some work in the past. You remember one of your documentaries I was part. So we will be available to provide the human resource and then to speak the truth and speak evidence as much as possible. And we will gather them. I know after this meeting, there will be effort for us to put our energy together, really get scientific evidence to back what we say. That is all that we need. And the more we simplify the evidence to the communities, they will begin to think twice. As you said, actually those who benefit from the illegal activities are not the small fishes who step in the water. They are somewhere, they don't even come there physically. But those who are getting maybe 500 Ghana a day as per job payment, they are suffering the brunt. But we need to have a different strategy because obviously many things haven't worked, especially from the political perspective, but probably from the medical perspective, we can begin to see a change. But yes, we will be very vocal and be ready to give the evidence to support the fact that where we've gotten to, something must be done differently. We can't keep doing the same old things and expect things to change.
Doc, I am devoting myself. In fact, my platform is yours, and I'm on standby. If you will engage me, I'm currently doing something on the health effects. I want to add a human face to the impact of illegal mining, and so I've started speaking with some sufferers. If you have any others you want to link us to, my doors are open 24/7.
Yeah, well noted. That's what. So we'll come up with a plan. You are also on our platform, so we'll have a discussion and see how best we can get this moving from our perspective. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We have another comment here. Can we also take on the ban of single-use plastics and styrofoams? That's very exciting. Other countries have done this. Other countries on the continent have done this, and elsewhere in the world. you know, especially with us being dependent so much on waterways and fish for both human consumption and obviously export as well. Any thoughts on that, on single-use plastics and styrofoams?
Yeah, so that's another dimension which is worth bringing on board. And I know we are recording this, and the Society Secretariat will give us a summary of the action points. We probably will need to tackle it one after the other and have a plan to deal with all of them, because in reality, it goes beyond just illegal mining. We spoke about the use of tramol. Our youth are becoming victims. So as pediatricians seeing up to 18 years, we have a plan, and then we can come up with a strategic plan. But again, Erastus, I would wish that you would appeal to your other media colleagues so that they understand that we are also sacrificing to make this work. In some few occasions, you discard these ideas and you are asked, what is your budget? We don't have any budget to work with. We are advocating for the health of Ghanaians. So get those who are friendly so that they can also carry our message across. If this presentation had gone, if I've had sponsorship for wider media coverage, multimedia and all the other stations, and I guess it would have made a greater leverage than we are doing. However, we've had a very good attendance anyway. But going forward, we will need to work closely with those of you who can spread the message so that we make impact even per any conversation we have. So Erastus, we're also assigning you to bring in more media gurus who will be interested in getting this. Ken Ashigwe and others, I know you relate well with them. Let him know about this group, and also let's have opportunity to be engaging them as well, the other media gurus who are happy to work with us.
In fact, yes, I understand the point from where you're coming, but there are some media houses who are ready to work. They are not asking for budgets. Myself, I've never asked for budgets when it comes to some of these things. I understand the urgency with which we need to work, and many of my works go for free. And so we have other people, Kafui Day from GBC, our platforms, the multimedia group, they are ever ready. And we are not demanding any budget. So we just need you to gather your thoughts together, call us that you're ready, you have some facts to share, and they are compelling stuff like you've delivered today. People need to know that. And I am ever ready, especially if you have some patients who are willing to share their stories with us so that other people can benefit from that. We are ever ready. Just let me know when you want to and when you have information, and I'll link you up.
Fantastic. It sounds like a powerful partnership. I would like to remind everyone that even if you're not seeking CPD credit from today's talk, that we encourage you to fill out the form, submitting your information so that we can know who is here and make sure that we're able to collaborate and, again, work together to be effective around these important issues. We're going to wrap up the comments. We do have Dr. Asamoah J had shared the comment earlier, which I think was a bit hard to hear, and he's from CSIR, and they're doing some work into backyard gardening, which is very exciting. And we even have someone who actually has volunteered to, it seems like, to be a parent witness to this topic. So with that, I will close our comments, but I will actually do a brief change from our agenda, if permitted, where I'd like to welcome Dr. Na Jama Glover, who will read the poem She Is by our own Dr. Adoma Odome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah Tunaje. Good evening. I read She Is by Dr. Adoma Odome. We plan and save for months to travel across Europe on a vacation. She coughs and Eyjafjallajökull explodes.
Have we lost?
I'm afraid we've lost Dr. Glover. Dr. Glover, are you still available? Oh, goodness. Okay, well, why don't we move on if that's the case? And then Dr. Glover, if we find that she's available again, or if anyone else would like to read the poem, would welcome them.
I'm sorry, my line dropped.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm
Good.
sorry.
Welcome. No, you're
Thank-
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. She is. We plan and save for months to travel across Europe on a vacation. She coughs and Eyjafjallajökull explodes, spewing ash over Europe, and we watch helplessly in the airport as flights are cancelled across nations. You plan on attending a conference in Turkey. She sneezes, and a catastrophic earthquake shakes the country, burying thousands. Children are rendered fatherless. Mothers are rendered homeless, and your conference is postponed indefinitely. They plan on touring Indonesia and all its cute islands, but then she laughs. And deep in the heart of the ocean, the earth quakes and a tsunami arises. It wipes out the very island they planned visiting. We build powerful cars and airplanes, skyscrapers of steel and glass. She blows and a hurricane appears, snapping the skyscraper as though it were a broomstick. A tornado lifts the cars as if they were toys. She is powerful. We pierce holes in her protective ozone layer, and she heats up so fast and fierce. Heat strokes cause our children and elderly to faint. She fans wildfires across countries, destroying everything in their wake. The global warming causes flooding, and we watch with our hearts melting in fear as glaciers melt, as the sea level rises, as towns and villages disappear, history and livelihoods vanish altogether. We cause a nuclear reactor to explode in Chernobyl, and the fallout is felt in Finland, Sweden, Belarus. Radioactive clouds, radioactive rain, radioactive grass. We in Ghana are told not to drink imported milk because the cows in other countries may have eaten radioactive grass. We set off an atomic bomb in Hiroshima. Till date, the Hibakusha suffer. The land is still uninhabitable. We pour mercury into Minamata Bay. The adults suffer ataxia and paralysis. The children are born with small heads and damaged brains. She doesn't forgive our errors. She will right the wrong done her, but she will take a few millennia to do so, and we will suffer. We always do. We act as though we inherited her from our parents, but no, we borrow her from our children. Therefore, we need to protect her and preserve her. We need to ensure a perfect balance is maintained for her. We don't want a silent spring or a generation unborn to suffer from our actions or inactions. Do what you can to protect her. She's powerful, she's strong, she's relentless, but we are her custodians. Fire, wind, water, she is earth. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. So here at this point, we'll welcome any announcements that from PSG.
Okay. Hi, thank you, Sarah. It's been a very reflective meeting, and we've heard the voices. PSG continues its advocacy for 2025 This is Dr. Emmanuel Opon, Vice President of PSG. And we want to say thank you to everyone. And we want to announce that on the 2nd of May, we are launching our Yellow Month. The Newborn Jaundice Awareness Month will be launched on the 2nd of May. So stay tuned, look out on the various platforms, and let's get involved. There are so many things on the child health and well-being front that PSG is championing. Let's all get involved. And please click this link that has been shared so that if you want to be part of this force to address our environmental health issues, you'll be added to the platform by our secretariat. So thank you, and over for now.
Thank you, Dr. Opon. I welcome Dr. Vivian Paintsell to offer our closing prayer.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Prof. Enimel, for that wonderful keynote address. We really all benefited from it. Okay, so let's pray. Almighty God, we are thanking you, Father, for the gift of life and the beautiful air that you've given us. Mighty God, we are grateful for today's gathering and for the knowledge that we have shared here, and for all the voices that have risen up in unity, Father, to protect and to preserve the environment you gave us. Father, we acknowledge that we have not been faithful stewards of this land. Forgive us and help us so that we can right the wrong we've done. Today, Father, as we mark Earth Day, we pray, Father, for a renewed sense of purpose. And we pray that you will give us the courage so that we can take action. Help us so that we can protect our waters. Help us so that we can reduce the waste. Help us so that we can be able to educate others, so that we can know how important it is for us to sustain our environment. Bless our nation, Ghana, and bless us all. Father, as we depart from here, help us so that we can go out and do what you have told us to do, to tend the land and to preserve it. We are thanking you because we know that you will help us so that we can preserve our country. Thank you for answering our prayers for us. In Jesus' name, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. With great appreciation to everyone for attending and sharing such important information and opportunity for collaboration, I call this meeting to a close. We look forward to, again, continuing this collaboration and seeing much more of each other.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for attending.